What if the very exercises you thought were keeping you strong were actually putting silent stress on your heart? What if the movements that work so well in your 40s or 50 seconds could, after 60, quietly become harmful instead of helpful? And most surprising of all, what if just knowing which exercises to avoid could save your heart years of strain while still keeping you active and energized? Hi, I'm Dr. Nana, and in this video on Senior Health Boost, I'm going to reveal 5 common exercises that may be silently damaging your heart once you're past 60 and the safer, smarter alternatives you can use instead. You wake up, take a deep breath, and decide it's time to move your body. Maybe you stretch, maybe you go for a walk, or maybe you try a new routine you saw online. You tell yourself, I'm doing this for my health. But what if, without realizing it, you're quietly hurting the very organ you're trying to protect, your heart? I know that sounds dramatic, but after the age of 60, your body simply doesn't respond to exercise the way it did 10 or 20 years ago. Your heart may be wiser and stronger in many ways, but it's also more sensitive. Movements that once worked wonders can now do more harm than good, not because you're weak, but because your heart deserves a different kind of care. That's why today, I want to gently walk you through 5 exercises that might be slowly, silently damaging your heart. They don't look dangerous. In fact, many are still promoted as healthy. But in the wrong body, at the wrong age, done the wrong way, they can turn into silent threats. Don't worry, this isn't just about what to stop. I'll also show you better, safer ways to move. These alternatives are designed to protect your heart while still giving you strength, energy, and confidence in your body. So, if you're someone who believes in staying active, living fully, and protecting the beautiful heart that has carried you through life, then this video is for you. Before we dive in, do me a small favor. Leave a 1 in the comments if you want more honest, heart-centered health videos like this, and make sure to hit subscribe to join the Senior Health Boost community. We make every single video with you in mind. Alright, let's begin. The very first exercise I urge you to reconsider might also be the trendiest one of all. High-intensity interval training. Height too risky after 60. One of the most heartbreaking things I've seen in my years as a heart doctor is this: seniors trying their absolute best to stay active, yet unintentionally hurting the very organ they're trying to protect. It often starts with something that looks innocent: a new gym class, a YouTube routine promising youthful energy, or even a well-meaning trainer encouraging, just push through it. But here's the truth: when you're over 60, pushing too hard isn't bravery, it's risk. Let's talk about high-intensity interval training, or HIIT. Quick bursts of intense movement, followed by short rests. Trendy, popular. But for older adults, it's one of the most dangerous styles of exercise. Why? Because as we age, our blood vessels naturally stiffen, the heart muscle may thicken, and our recovery time from sudden exertion slows down. This isn't just my opinion. A study in the Journal of Gerontology, Medical Sciences found that older adults performing HIIT had significantly higher spikes in systolic blood pressure and greater heart rate variability, both signs of cardiovascular stress, compared to those who stuck with moderate, continuous exercise. Now imagine this: you're doing a fast-paced routine, 1 minute of squats, 30 seconds of sprinting in place, a 20-second rest, and then repeat. Your heart never gets the chance to stabilize. Instead, it's forced to jump from 0 to 100 again and again. That's like flooring the gas pedal in an old car with worn-out brakes. Eventually, something's going to give. I'll never forget one of my patients, Mr. Tom, age 72. He thought he was doing himself a favor by following his grandson's online workouts. No pain, no gain, he used to say. But after just 2 weeks of these intense sessions, Tom came into my office dizzy, short of breath, and with wildly irregular heart rhythms. His blood pressure had been spiking without him even realizing it. He thought it was just fatigue from aging. In reality, his heart was waving a red flag. So, what should you do instead? Choose movement that flows with your body, not against it. A 30-minute brisk walk, gentle swimming, tai chi in the park. These may not look flashy, but they're incredibly effective. In fact, a study from the American Heart Association showed that older adults who walked at a moderate pace for just 150 minutes a week had a 31% lower risk of heart-related events compared to those who were sedentary. You don't need to sweat buckets or push through pain to stay strong. What your heart needs now is rhythm, gentleness, consistency, protection. So, as you can see, Not all exercise is created equal, especially after 60. Height may be the trend, but it's not the friend your heart needs at this stage of life. Now, let's shift gears and look at another set of movements many people rely on: crunches and heavy lifting. They may seem like the key to staying strong, but what if I told you they could also be putting dangerous pressure on your heart? In the last section, we looked at how high-intensity interval training can push the heart too far, too fast, especially after 60. But it's not the only form of exercise that carries hidden risks. Sometimes, the danger doesn't come from how fast you move, but from the sheer pressure you place inside your body when you strain. Let's take a closer look. The hidden pressure from straining movements. Whenever you perform crunches, sit-ups, or heavy lifts, there's a sudden increase in something called intra-abdominal and intrathoracic pressure. That pressure doesn't stay neatly contained in your stomach or chest. It pushes inward and upward, forcing your heart to pump against an internal wall of resistance. In other words, while your muscles may look like they're getting stronger, your heart is being forced to work harder than it should. A 2018 study published in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology highlighted this very risk. Researchers found that isometric and heavy resistance exercises cause sharp spikes in blood pressure, particularly in older adults. For one participant in his 60s, systolic blood pressure soared to over 200 during a single lifting session. That's dangerously high enough to trigger a medical emergency, yet the scariest part was that he felt no obvious warning signs. These surges are invisible. You can't always feel them in the moment. There's no flashing signal, no alarm bell, but your heart notices every bit of that strain. And if you already have stiff arteries, hidden plaque, or even a history of high blood pressure conditions that are very common over 60, the risk only multiplies. Susan's story when good intentions backfire. Let me share the story of Susan. At 68, she was full of energy, determined to keep up with her granddaughter, who had once asked, "Grandma, can you carry my backpack?" That simple request sparked Susan's desire to get stronger. So she joined a local gym. No personal trainer, no medical clearance. She simply copied what she saw younger people doing: crunches on the mat, heavy dumbbell lifts, sets repeated until exhaustion. For a while, it felt good. Then, 3 weeks later, during her final set of crunches, she suddenly went pale. Her arms felt weak. Her head spun. She assumed it was dehydration, but the truth was far more serious. Her blood pressure had spiked to levels that nearly caused her to black out. What she thought was strengthening her heart was actually crushing it. This isn't to frighten you. It's to empower you with awareness. You don't have to give up on building strength. In fact, maintaining muscle is one of the most important ways to stay independent as you age. But it must be done wisely. Smarter, safer ways to build strength. So, what's the better approach? Trade heavy dumbbells for resistance bands. They provide enough challenge without the dangerous pressure spikes. Focus on controlled, slow movements. Jerky, rushed repetitions increase strain and raise risk. Avoid holding your breath while lifting. That alone can cause your blood pressure to jump instantly. Practice exhaling gently as you exert effort. If possible, work with a trainer who understands senior physiology and cardiac safety. They're out there, you just need the right one. Remember, strength isn't defined by how much weight you can lift. It's about how confidently you can live without injury, without strain, and without fear. When the environment becomes the enemy, and speaking of strain, sometimes the greatest dangers don't even come from the exercise itself. They come from the world around us, from the weather and the temperature shifts we often ignore. A morning walk in crisp winter air, a light jog on a sunny afternoon. Sounds healthy, doesn't it? And in many ways, it is. But after 60, your body no longer reacts to temperature the same way it once did. What feels refreshing to your skin may quietly become stressful to your heart. When you were younger, your blood vessels expanded and contracted with ease, like a flexible hose. Your body's internal thermostat adapted quickly to hot or cold. But as you age, that system loses some of its flexibility. And that change can create problems both in freezing winters and in blazing summers. Cold weather, the silent constrictor. When temperatures drop, your blood vessels constrict. They tighten to preserve warmth. On the surface, this sounds like a clever survival mechanism. But internally, it raises your blood pressure. A study published in the American Journal of Hypertension revealed that adults over 60 consistently recorded higher blood pressure readings during colder months, especially after morning exposure. That added pressure weighs heavily on a heart that may already be dealing with stiffness or narrowed vessels. So while a brisk winter walk may feel refreshing, for the heart, it's like running against resistance, harder, more demanding, and riskier than you think. Heat stress, the other extremino. Let's flip to the other side of the thermometer. In hot weather, your blood vessels dilate, they open wide to release heat. That forces your heart to pump faster to maintain stable blood flow. Add even mild dehydration into the mix, and your blood thickens. Suddenly, your heart is working overtime, not because of your exercise, but simply to cool you down. One of my longtime patients, Robert, age 74, discovered this the hard way. He believed he was doing everything right, walking daily to keep his circulation healthy. But his routine took place at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, right under the blazing summer sun. One hot July afternoon, halfway through his usual walk, Robert collapsed. Not from over-exercise, but from heat stress. His blood pressure had dropped too quickly, his heart rate surged to compensate, and his body couldn't keep up. He thought he was just exercising. In reality, his heart was battling the environment. So far, we've seen how both the exercises you choose and the conditions you perform them in can quietly put your heart at risk after 60. The good news is that awareness gives you power. In the next section, we'll look at yet another common activity, one that might surprise you, that can either protect your heart or push it into danger, depending on how you approach it. Earlier, we saw how even the temperature and time of day can quietly influence your heart. That lesson alone reminds us, staying active isn't just about the exercise itself, but also about the conditions around you. So how do you keep moving without putting unnecessary stress on your heart? Let's break it down. Choosing the right environment. Start with the basics: timing and environment. Whenever possible, pick cooler, consistent conditions. Early mornings, before the sun climbs to high, are ideal. Indoor spaces with steady airflow and controlled temperatures also keep your heart from fighting against the elements. Hydration is another must. And I don't just mean sipping water when you're done. Begin hydrating before your walk or activity, continue during, and replenish afterward. The steadier your fluid levels, the less strain on your circulation. If you're facing colder months, dress in light layers you can peel away as you warm up. This keeps your body temperature stable and prevents sudden blood pressure changes. And above all, listen to the early signals from your body. A brief shortness of breath, a flash of dizziness. These are whispers you cannot afford to ignore. The truth is, you don't have to give up your morning walks or your love of fresh air. But you do have to choose your timing and environment wisely. Even the most beautiful weather can quietly become your heart's enemy if you don't pay attention. The hidden risks of fast, youthful movements. Now let's shift to another hidden stressor, not the weather, but the kind of movement itself. Fast, youthful exercises. Think about it. A quick dance class, a burst of jumping jacks, a fast-paced cardio routine. It feels energizing, almost like turning back the clock. But for seniors, especially after 60, trying to mimic the pace of youth often does more harm than good. I've seen it many times. Older adults joining a group class, following along with YouTube workouts, trying to keep pace with burpees, stair sprints, or step jumps. On the surface, it looks healthy. Inside the body, though, it's a different story. Circulation, balance, and heart rhythms can all be pushed beyond their safe limits. What really happens inside your body? Here's why. As we age, our nervous system slows. Reflexes aren't as quick, balance becomes less reliable, and arteries lose elasticity. That means when you jump, twist, or change direction, your heart and blood vessels have milliseconds to adjust. And sometimes they simply can't. A study in the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity found that adults over 65 had significantly delayed cardiovascular responses to sudden exercise, especially during activities that required balance and coordination. The result? Irregular rhythms, oxygen imbalances, blood pressure spikes, all of which can leave you dizzy, breathless, or worse, on the floor. Ellen's story. The risks of Zumba. Take Ellen, age 70, full of life, always ready to smile. She joined a community Zumba class and felt proud keeping up with younger participants. Then one evening, during a routine filled with side steps and hops, she stumbled. Not because she was clumsy, but because her body lagged behind her brain by just a split second. Thankfully, she didn't break anything, but the fall shook her confidence. Even scarier, she told me later, her heart raced for more than an hour afterward. That small delay between command and response nearly caused a major accident. Slower, smarter alternative thesis isn't about giving up. It's about choosing movements that support the body you have today, not the one you had at 30. When you turn to slower, more fluid activities like Tai Chi, water aerobics, or gentle stretching flows, something remarkable happens. Your body isn't shocked. It's supported. Your heart isn't thrown into chaos. It's calmed. Your joints, muscles, and balance improve together, in harmony. And here's one of the most underrated benefits. These slower practices preserve independence. When your body feels steady and confident, you keep moving every day. And it's that daily consistency, not dramatic bursts, that creates lasting transformation. The problem with exercising too late? No. Let's look at another factor you may not have considered: timing at night. After a long day, the house is quiet, dinner is finished, and for many seniors, this feels like the perfect time to move. A light stretch, a short walk, maybe even a gentle cardio session before bed. It feels peaceful, right? But here's the hidden risk. Exercising too close to bedtime, even lightly, can quietly rob your heart of one of its most important healing windows. Sleep is not just rest. For the heart, sleep is repair. And especially after 60, deep, uninterrupted sleep is when the real restoration happens. So remember, it's not just what you do, it's when, where, and how you move that shapes your heart's response. On the next page, we'll dive into how nighttime routines, even gentle ones, can disturb your heart's ability to recover, and what to do instead to protect this vital healing cycle. We've talked about posture, timing, intensity, and even the weather. But there's still one last hidden factor that many people overlook when you choose to exercise. And for older adults, especially after 60, this timing could quietly mean the difference between healing your heart or straining it. Why? Evening workouts can backfire. If you exercise too close to bedtime, your body often stays alert far longer than it should. And this isn't just an opinion, it's backed by science. A study published in Experimental Physiology tracked both younger adults and seniors during evening workouts. The findings were striking. While the younger group returned to baseline heart rates and core temperatures within an hour or two, older adults didn't. Their nervous systems stayed switched on well into the night, delaying the body's ability to slip into deep, restorative sleep. That's because exercise, even light evening activity, stimulates the sympathetic nervous system, the so-called fight or flight mode. Your heart rate remains elevated. Adrenaline lingers in your bloodstream. Muscles stay primed for action. Your body thinks the day is still going. And when your system stays wired late at night, it disrupts your circadian rhythm, the natural cycle that tells your body when to wind down, recover, and repair. Mr. Lee's story, one of my longtime patients. Mr. Lee, a 69-year-old retired teacher, used to take brisk walks after dinner. His reasoning made sense. He thought tiring himself out would help him sleep. But instead, he began waking at a.m., restless, heart fluttering, mind racing. At first, he worried it was anxiety. But after shifting his walks to late morning, his nights transformed. His sleep deepened. His energy in the day improved. No new medications, just better timing. Why? Sleep matters more than you think. Sleep isn't just about feeling tired or groggy the next morning. It's directly linked to some of the most serious heart risks: elevated blood pressure, increased inflammation, great insulin resistance, cerebral heart rhythms. Your heart doesn't just labor during the day. It depends on the quiet of night to heal, balance, and reset. If you constantly rob it of that healing window, even with good intentions like a late workout, your heart begins to fall behind. That's why timing is everything. The best move you can make is to shift exercise to the morning or early afternoon. This way, your body reaps all the cardiovascular benefits of movement without interfering with your natural nighttime repair. Evenings should be kept gentle and calming. Light stretching, deep breathing, maybe meditation or gratitude journaling. Give your nervous system the signal it's been waiting for. The day is over. Pulling it all together, know that we've walked through all 5 of these hidden habits. Let's step back and look at the bigger picture. These weren't extreme rules or complex routines. They were quiet truths. Height workouts that overwhelm your heart. Heavy lifting that spikes hidden pressures. Weather extremes that silently strain circulation. Fast-paced movements that challenge balance and rhythm. And late-night activity that robs your heart of its healing sleep. Each one on its own may seem small, But together, they explain why so many older adults, despite their best efforts, end up feeling fatigued, dizzy, or unsteady. It isn't weakness. It isn't failure. It's simply a mismatch between the body you have now and the routines you carried forward from earlier decades. A final word from Dr. Nana's. Dr. Nana, I want to leave you with this reminder: aging does not mean giving up. It means choosing wisely. It means respecting the heart that has carried you faithfully, day after day, for over 6 decades. You don't need a radical transformation. You just need one smart choice, done consistently, with care. That's real strength. Maybe you saw yourself in one of the habits we discussed. Maybe you're already thinking of one change you'll make today. That's the point. Your heart doesn't demand perfection. It asks for awareness, for gentleness, for respect. And when you give it that, it will keep giving back to you clarity, strength, steadiness, and peace. So let go of the idea that more is better. Choose wiser, not harder. Move with intention. Rest with purpose. And above all, listen to what your heart has been trying to tell you all along. If this video opened your eyes or gave you even one idea to try, share it in the comments below. What's the first change you'll make tonight or tomorrow morning? Write it down, not just for me, but as a promise to yourself. And before you go, do me one more favor. Tap that like button, share this video with a friend who needs it, and hit subscribe to Senior Health Boost. By subscribing, you'll join a growing community of people just like you, people who are choosing to age with wisdom, strength, and confidence. We'll keep bringing you science-backed, heart-centered strategies to protect your health and help you live fully in every season of life. So here's my final message. You deserve to feel strong. You deserve to feel steady. You deserve to live without fear of the silent risks of aging. Take these lessons, apply them gently, and watch how your heart thanks you in return. Stay hopeful, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next video right here on SeniorHealthBoost.to help you live stronger and feel better every day. Take care. We're in this together.